Since the early 90s, we've had Toyota RAV4s. This is the latest Toyota RAV4. They've changed RAV4. They've changed it from that cute little car that we had in the early 90s, and it grew, and it grew, and it grew to something that wasn't so nice in that last generation. And just recently, they released this one, and they put a whole bunch of stuff into it. Now remember, safety is important, and safety is apparently their first concern, because I'm not quite sure that the external design was. But what these do have are these fancy LED headlights. The solid Toyota badge, of course, means radar cruise control, and sensors, of course. And down below, a nod to alleged off-road credentials. And this is one of the many cameras that gives you the really cool 360-degree camera view. With Toyota Safety Sense, they've all got AEB, but the cyclist protection only operates under certain circumstances. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the exterior design. It looks to me to be a little too chunky, like my good self. This bit here, I just don't get. Of the various trim levels, Cruiser was the previous top level. Now this one, the Edge, is the new top level. It has these really cool 19-inch wheels, but I'm not sure about this grey. It doesn't look finished to me, and I'm just not quite sure who's going to buy it, and if you do buy it, who's going to buy it second-hand. But they've included these really cool black roof rails that you can attach attachments to. And there are LED tail lights as well. There are more cameras at the back, and of course the tailgate is electric. Feels like it's actually backing back over me, but you know, hey ho. Luckily, all RAV4s have spare tyres, actual spare tyres, with a jack. Thank God. In the back is a pull-out luggage cover, which you can remove if you want more luggage space. And because this is the top model, it has the 9-speaker JBL system. The back is actually fairly roomy, with over 500 litres of space. There's a power point and luggage space, and a thoughtful rear light. The seats go down in a 60-40 split, and they go down almost completely flat. Rear space is surprisingly generous. With the seat set for me, there's, I don't know, a good 2 or 3 centimetres between me and the seat in front. There's a couple of air vents and 2 rear USB charging ports. Funnily enough, I actually quite like the seat fabric. There is a seat pocket, but only in the passenger seat. There's nothing in the driver's seat. Rear doors have quite nice metallicized plastic trim, and all of the plastic is soft touch. There is, of course, a small bottle holder. Inside at the front, I actually quite like. I love this orange trim. I love the big bottle holders. I particularly like the orange insert inside the little trays. There's a wireless charger, which you have to turn on and off. Because this is the top model RAV4, it has the larger multifunction display, but the remaining instruments are still analog, which I think is a little bit disappointing. I would rather the whole thing just be LCD. The buttons are typically Toyota. There's the adjustment for the car in front for the smart cruise control, and this cruise control system also has speed sign recognition, but of course because we're not moving, it's not recognizing any speed signs. This is the control for the multifunction display, and it includes voice recognition. This dash is well laid out. Driver information is clearly displayed on the home screen. If you want to change anything, you go into the menu setting. It of course has inbuilt navigation. And the thing I particularly like are these buttons are all really soft feel rubber. The same goes for the air conditioning controls. This is dual zone climate control. It's got this nice soft rubbery, slightly industrial feel. Below that we have the gear lever for the 8-speed automatic. Press the hold button and it will activate the brakes in traffic. They'll stay activated until you drive off. The parking brake activates when you stop and put the car into park. And below that are the off-road controls and the sports driving mode controls. There's downhill descent control and snow control. Though I have to say, I don't really want to go driving in snow ever. I just don't. Of course, this is the top model, so it has a glass sunroof. And there's a natty orange rubber lined tray. And the front seats are both heated and cooled. Naturally, this car has smart entry and push button start, so that means the key need never come out of your pocket. The lights are fully automatic with high beam support, as I said, but push the view button and the cameras will give you a 360-degree view of the car once you're parked. It only operates in park, but what it does is allow you to see around the car, so when you're stopped, if there's anyone that intends to do you harm, you can see them. When you're not parked, the cameras give you a 360-degree view of how you're backing up. So really there is no excuse to ever hit anything. Toyota seem to have dropped the engines that were slow selling. Diesels, for example. Largely people have turned away from those except for very large cars. And the reason for that was the NOx scandal that some of the brands had. Won't mention any names. Do you know who you are? I'm now doing 80 kilometers an hour. And the thing that you notice about RAV4 is it is so smooth. And on this curvy mountain road, it just sits there. It is beautiful. This is just so lovely and loungy and relaxed. All RAV4s have Toyota sensing. So they've got autonomous emergency braking and the lane guidance, the active lane guidance, but I'll talk more about that in a minute once we get onto the highway. They've got blind spot monitoring. You might have seen my story a few weeks ago where I mentioned what will be required for 5 stars from ANCAP. And there might be a requirement, for example, for active lane control, active cruise control, blind spot monitoring. And if you don't have those, you won't get 5 stars. But the main thing about RAV4 is just who it's aimed at. So imagine for a moment you're a bare-chested, slightly sweaty tradie with a tool belt that likes to bang things in. Sorry, I'm back. I shouldn't really do that on a windy mountain road. I'm likely to run off the road. So, who is RAV4 aimed at? Well, I think it's aimed at the urban actionist. The person that is in an office or some kind of professional through the week and wants to go out and do a few bits and bobs on the weekend, that wants to put on a wetsuit and a pair of Speedos and go out. Sorry, I'm back. I was just imagining Speedos. Speedos. Yes. I'm back. So the thing about RAV4 is that it's an activity vehicle. It's something that you can take away on the weekend, but you can't tow very much. So you're not going to tow a huge trailer full of stuff, but you could tow a jet ski, maybe. The active cruise control, once it's active, I'll just turn it on. What that allows you to do is to cruise along like this, not worrying about a thing. The active lane guidance will keep you centered in the lane, but it does cut off if all of a sudden there's no lines painted at the side of the road. It beeps and turns off, which can be a bit of a surprise if you're relying on it to keep you in the lanes. Do not take your hands off the wheel though, because she will really get angry with you. The next thing is that you can, on the dashboard, see what the all-wheel drive is doing. It won't get you very far off piste, but it will still get you in soft sand. Now, that speed sign has just changed to 80, so if I press the down set button on the cruise control, it's now set itself to 80. So on the highway, you can go to various speed limits and you don't really have to worry about what you're doing. Theoretically, you should not get a speeding ticket. I say theoretically. but it is expensive. 51,000 plus some change for this top model, for this Edge. And the other thing is, you can only get one drivetrain in Edge, and that is the 2.5 litre 8-speed petrol engine. The other levels have hybrids, but you can't get a hybrid in the Edge, which I think is just bonkers. Why not just have a tick sheet that says, I want this drivetrain with this car, this transmission, and I want to drive this many wheels? Why do they have to make it so complex? Why? Why? Toyota, why? So I'm still thinking about Speedos. So to round up, RAV4 looks are not quite to my taste. It's a little bit too angular. It's a little bit too cut about. Although having said that, I do like Lexus SUVs. This is the same platform that the new UX is on. I like the cabin tech. I like the driver support tech. I like the fact that the car is looking out for me in dangerous situations. There's 5 USBs all up, 3 in the front, 2 in the back. There's power outlets all over the place. I like that. There's an 8-speed auto, but only in this top model. The rest make do with a CVT. In fact, this 8-speed is so smooth. How smooth is it? It is so smooth, I had to check the specs again to make sure that it wasn't a CVT. It almost felt like it wasn't changing gears. Stopping at the lights. Oh, I should mention that the cruise control has a Q assist function, so that if you're sitting, as I was on the way out to Picton, in a tunnel with the recirculate on, obviously, that it will just creep forward. It will do all the driving for you. I think that's awesome. As always, hit just there to subscribe.